calm before the storm. Things aren't as they were before. You best start bracing. Did you think you could keep us out? Shut the gates, forget us now. Tides are changing. Can you hear the sound? Can't stop us now. We're not back in town, know what we're doing. Things are about to change, it's evolution. Voices shake the ground, you feel it moving. We're the revolution. Can you hear the sound? Ground beneath your feet, with a whisper in the tree. Do you feel us watching? Hunger in our eyes, victories on our minds. It's our time to rise. Can you hear the sound? Can't stop us now. We're not back in town, know what we're doing. Things are about to change, it's evolution. Voices shake the ground, you feel it moving. We're the revolution. Can you hear the sound? We're not back in town, know what we're doing. Things are about to change, it's evolution. Voices shake the ground, you feel it moving. We're the revolution.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up now. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the DZG stream. My name is Morpheus. I am joined by the lovely Mag Fries and hopefully some lovely Sunday evening gaming. How you doing today, Mags?
I'm doing all right. I'm really looking forward to this matchup between DZG Styx and HPU White. Both of them coming off of a lag week, if I am not mistaken. So really kind of interesting to see what they've changed up over the past week of extra practice.
Speaking of changes, DCG's also got a few on their side as well. Yeti will be coming into the starting roster on the jungle side, as well as Nightclaw coming in for starting support as well. So a couple of changes being made left and right as we get through pick and bans right now. We see the bot lane really being heavily targeted by DZG here, whereas HPU White is taking the Renekton off the board, classic pick for Shane, as well as the Graves, assuming that would be for Yeti as well. Priority here may be looking at support, since support for HPU is one of their highest ranked players, as well as having Nightclaw new into DZG. You might want to just put him on something just straight comfort.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be a big priority to get a favorable bot lane for Styx. I'm a little shocked not seeing the Thresh banned from Styx and not threatened as an early pick, because that is something both Kinakazi and Nightclaw do play. We're going into the first pick with a Vex ban as a last round for HPU White, and I am interested to see what Styx calls the priority. It's going to end up being Xayah here.
So the Zaya coming in for Astro. Astro's actually played Zaya pretty darn well so far this split. What I am very curious about this is to see what they're going to pair it up with Nightclaw. Couple options you have is Leona for one, Rakan. Zaya Rakan is generally a good fit there as well. Zaya, though, has gone through a bit of a transformation phase. If you've been checking out MSI at all, you'll notice that a lot of the Zayas are going crit now. The lethality build into Manamune is actually not a thing anymore. Even though it's still considered somewhat viable, it's not entirely a thing that we are seeing more often. Jinx coming in for Ascalabos here as well. Nope. Okay, so Jinx coming in for Ascalabos. I'm going to butcher your name all night, Sunshine. Here as well. I would assume either jungler or support will be next for HPUY.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume the support, and I mean, I would not be entirely shocked if this ends up being a Rakan, even though that does kind of show. Yeah, that shows that does show your team identity pretty early, but it is something that Styx is already threatening with such an early Xayah pick that we know with the given the right tools that Astro can definitely carry on that pick.
Yeah, especially if Astro ends up going the crit build, most likely Gale Force would be the option here, so it does give her a wee bit more mobility in that sense, which could really be good into the Rakan, as well as if the rest of HPU ends up picking fully front and going forward here. The Lulu, I love this pick. I've said this before countless number of times. Lulu is low-key arguably the best support in the game right now. You can't kill her, you probably won't be able to kill the AD carry. Wild Growth is a game-changing team fight, whether you use both defensively and offensively as well. Polymorph is, in my opinion, just the most annoying ability in the game to play against, because it stops a lot of your forward momentum, as well as if Viego being hovered right now. For Yeti, this looks like straight comfort for him.
Yeah, this is straight comfort, and this is really what I wanted to see Styx put Yeti on, is this hyper carry jungler, because that's what he's excelled at in solo queue. I mean, we haven't seen him on stream before, so we'll have to see how he can translate that. But he's excelled at in solo queue, and as I said earlier, about HPU kind of showing their identity, Lulu a great counter to this hard engage.
The Kane coming through here for HPU is interesting to say the least. Kane generally will either go full bruiser or full lethality. There is what's called the purple build, where he goes kind of a bit of both. My only concern with that is there's a Lulu on the other side of the scene, bro. Like, you need to blow up Lulu before she can get the shields on, she can get the poly down onto Kane, she can get the wild growth on as well to save whoever she needs to save. So again, it's kind of alluding to what you mentioned earlier. Rakan wants to go forward, kind of showing the identity of HPU White. Kane is most likely going to end up doing the same thing here. As we see the bans coming in. Alawi taken off the board, which is the big one for Shane. They are really trying to heavily target his champion pool right now, though.
Yeah, they're targeting his champion pool, and also to get rid of some of those utility mid laners in the TF. And that's going to that brings the great question of where does Styx want their ganks to be going? Because it's kind of hard if you have all three lanes wanting ganks. Obviously Zaya Lulu can kind of play to their own, and Ornn locked in for HPU White, a really hard pick to punish, but that does explain the Lowry pick. Shane before has really punished in Ornn's before. We got the Yorick locked in, a comfort for Shane, gonna really get that split push threatened while HPU is trying to pick the 5v4 fight on the other side of the map.
One thing that I think that Tracana may look at here is something just more of a team-fighted oriented mid laner here. Someone who could just fairly scale well on its end, can help out a lot in the 4v5 sense, because once Shane gets to that Triforce, there you go. Anivia is a prime example. Something to help keep the team away, because Anorn is not going to be able to move forward through Kane as well. Rakan going through Anivia slows. It does make it very difficult. The one thing I want to throw out, though, is Tracana cannot fall behind. If Tracana falls behind on this Anivia, it forces Shane to potentially say, hey, I have to be the one to group and gank more often, which is not what he wants to do. He wants to hit that first item and hit the Hull Breaker, never wants to see the team ever again. Veigar coming in, though, for Dented Head on the side of HPU White, kind of rounding off the composition well here. Does look like straight front-to-back team fight on the side of HPU White.
Yeah, it's a straight front-to-back team fight, and a lot of disengage from the side of Styx. You got Zaya, Lulu, Anivia, able to buy a lot of space while Shane gets that pressure. Even though HPU White has a decent amount of scaling, I really am looking at their team comp, and I'm thinking, this is really a feast or famine draft. You're going to either start a snowball early, where Styx can never catch back up, or you're just never going to be able to do fully what your team comp wants to do.
I think knowing that as well, that's going to play a lot into Styx's hands, because, like we said, once Shane gets to that 2-item spike, there really isn't going to be anyone on the side of White who can shut him down, at least not in a 1v1 aspect. If you get two people up there, let's say the Kane and the Ornn, potentially so, but it would be quite difficult, because the one thing we also haven't mentioned yet is Shane's mastery on this champion. There's a lot of Yorick. You'll notice that the three champions, two of them which are banned, the Renekton and the Alawi, with the Yorick, are kind of like his trifecta, are very, very comfort for him. So if this game doesn't end by about 30 minutes, what it's going to come down to is, can White blow up Styx very, very quickly at the start of team fights? Or is it just going to be the case where Styx is just going to buy as much time as they can, so that it'll allow Shane to just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take your base, you can kill the rest of my team, but your Nexus is still gone.
Yeah, so we are talking a lot about how Styx is going to want to play this. I do want to take a second and say, how do we think HPU is going to want to play this with the draft they're given? And I think this Kane needs to decide right now what form he needs to go, and he needs to get somebody super fed on his team. He needs to pick a lane and just be there every time that laner steps up for CS.
I think when you're looking at the lanes that he could potentially gank, all three have pretty good gank setup. Veigar, I would assume Dented Head is going to be going the Predator route here, which allows for setup upon an immobile Anivia much easier with the Event Horizon. But also bot lane, you have the Rakan, who is able to engage as well. So there is decently good setup in all three lanes. Ornn is just, it's just Ornn. I would not suspect that he would go top lane to put money into an Ornn, rather going into a Veigar or into a Jinx. So my thought is, camp the hell out of mid lane, or camp the hell out of bot lane. Bot lane may be a little bit more difficult because of the Lulu down there. So mid, the Anivia might be something that they will look for. An early flash will make Anivia really useless for up until 6 usually. And at that point, it's going to be where Mike Young, the jungler for HPU, can really put some pressure on there.
Yeah, I'm thinking Mike Young may lean towards trying to get this bot lane ahead, just because they're the highest rank on the team. They are, based on that alone, objectively the best players on this team, and who you are going to realistically be asking to carry you in the majority of these fights. So if you can get gold onto this Jinx, who knows her way around hyper carries, if you look at her match at Aka Lobos' match history in Metashift, They play a lot of hyper carries and they know what to do with gold.
I think that's a very fair point. If you're able to get Ascolobos ahead on the Jinx, it's kind of your win condition here to try and get you through that mid to late game. Even though Jinx's mid game isn't terribly strong, you're looking on Mike Young to say, hey, can I potentially enable the Jinx to get to a better stage in the mid game, and then allow Dented Head to say, hey, you know what, I could still forever end up scaling to get to the late game here, though. One thing I do want to throw out your way, Mags, is I'm going to put you on a bit on the spot here. Comp-wise, who do you like and why?
Honestly, I really like Styx's, and I know it's a little biased, but I like how they have a lot of answers for what HPU White wants to do. They have a lot of disengage for HPU's engage, and they don't have to opt into the 5v5 fight that HPU wants to pick.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. We've got eyes on DZG Styx here, hopefully looking to take game one here over HPU Whites. We do expect HPU White to really bring some heavy firepower into this, though. So don't go away. We'll be jumping into game momentarily.
But baby, I'm ecstatic that you're sticking with me. Hey, I'm waiting, trying to be patient. You look like a painting. It's so frustrating. I hate it, yeah. I probably shouldn't say this. I probably should erase it. I probably shouldn't say this. I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, call me a fan. I'm living, give me your hand. I'm in it, yeah. I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do. This is the last thing that I could do.
to protect your soul.
Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to this game one between DZG Styx and HPU White. Styx is on the blue side, HPU is on the red side. A couple of things we did want to throw out is looking at runes here. Yeti's got some balls. Not afraid to walk into the orb. Attempts poke away. Now trying to get early vision here for the jungler, which will be nice. But Mags, on your end, let me know what you're excited to see about here, or if there's anything in particular about the rune setup that catches your eye.
The main thing that, one of the few things that's caught my eye is on HPU White, you have the Guardian on Rakan, which typically you go if you're going for more of the peel route, less of the hard engage, because then you would be going Glacial. And you have Electrocute on Kayn, indicating this most likely is going to be a Shadow Assassin form for him, trying to assassinate the backline of DZG.
Now, knowing that, would you think that... I would imagine Mike Young will probably, like you said, prior to the game starting, is going to pay some fair amount of attention bot lane as we see DZG starts on red here with Yeti, whereas Mike Young starts on some lovely KFC on his own right there, seeing the bot lane of HP coming into lane fairly early.
It makes sense for Mike Young to be going the Shadow Assassin because his only real source of red form is going to be in that top or jungle, and those are really not the two areas he wants to be ganking early on to try and get an early lead for his team.
So knowing that, do you think that we'll be seeing Mike Young make an early visit to top lane? Because Shane and Simpin are, I mean, I won't call it a wet noodle fight, but they are pushing each other quite vigorously. I don't know if that's the right way of wording it. But,
I don't think we're going to be seeing a trip from Mike Young up to this top lane. He's looks like he's pathing down towards his blue. He's looking for a fool here, it appears.
Walk once more.
And he's gonna likely be trying to get that Shadow Assassin, so he's gonna be wanting to hit the Xayah, Lulu, the Anivia, kind of just ignoring this top lane and hoping the Ornn can survive.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think you really want to be putting money into Simpin's pocket here. While it's nice to have an Ornn ahead, you know, having any lane ahead generally is nice. You would rather have that gold put on, I would assume either Dented head or Ascolobos here in the bot lane. Looking at lanes though, we do see Shane up away right now, going in onto Simping here. Simping trapped in the baby little cage. Shane's still walking back up, but Yeti's also hovering by here. This could signal a dive into top lane. The wave is heavily in favor of Shane. Yeti will be keeping an eye up there, still staying in that brush. I would think we're going to see a little dive up top lane here though. Yeti with the flash moving forward. Shane will go forward with the baby cage as well. First blood comes over to Yeti as we see a fight coming up in the lane as well. Tucano staying inside the event horizon, making sure that Dented is not able to get a stun. The jump in from Kenikaze not working quite well. The polywolf coming through from Nightclaw as well. This is a very, very good start on the side of DZG. Mike Young though is playing a little bit of chicken here. That sees Nightclaw. Nightclaw does not have the exhaust to go down onto Mike Young. Astro is able to get out as well as rooting Kenikaze there as well. Kenikaze goes back in. Nightclaw has one more also until he dies. Gets it on to Ascolobos as well. So fights going on both sides of the rift here. Astro still wants to move forward. Be a wee bit careful because we know that Mike Young is probably still not far. Is still sitting in the river though. Overall, great for Ascolobos, and I would assume on DZG side, even better for Shane.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of separate fights going on. Yeah, the top lane dive ended up working out really well. Shane keeping both his summoner spells after that. And that bot lane play would have been really good if Nightclaw just hadn't stepped back up after he had gotten out. You had the polymorph on the initial recon engage to dissuade that. And this is a pre-transformation Kayn. He has no real CC besides his slow. You can just kind of walk away after you flash.
Coming in from Kenikaze as well. Mike Young is also going in. Flash coming out also from Astro as well. Nightclaw's going to be the focus of attack. He had fantastic double root there by Astro, saving Nightclaw as well. That could have really easily been Nightclaw going back down. But Flash also coming out from Astro, which allows her to get that root into place. I think it's like what you said earlier. They want to put a heavy amount of attention into this bot lane.
Yeah, a lot of attention to this bot lane, and I mean, now no summoners at all on the entire Styx bot lane, so I'm expecting we're going to see a lot more trips from this Kayn down there in order to push this lead.
I will throw something out your way, though, as Shane is tickling simping. He's trying to pull his hair right here, but Shane has a Yorick on his own right now with only 2 longswords and some brown paper bags on his feet. He's not really going to be able to offer much right now. Do you think it's worthwhile for my young to continue to put the attention bot lane to try and get Ascalobos more gold? Or do you think it's an idea that, hey, Shane is kind of starting to roll a little bit of a lead here on the Yorick to see, hey, is there a way to temper this?
I think realistically you're going to be looking at if you can get information on a Yeti, see if he's going to make any more plays towards top side. If so, you need to be there for a counter gank. Looks like Mike Young is looking for something top lane.
Here we go though, Shane's going to be in a 1v2 situation. Mike Young still coming in here, the cage coming out. Great flash from Shane there. Does have the Maiden up still, but knows that Mike Young is up there, knows that nothing else was burned on the side of HPU. Unfortunately, Shane's flash has gone down, but it was a good flash burnt in that sense. We do see though, Yeti has invaded the bot side of Mike Young's jungle as we go into a lovely pause. We are going to be just on a quick little pause here. It's a good time to actually take precedence to say, hey, how does both sides look at right now? We do see a huge lead on the side of Shane at the top lane. 9 CS up, items advantage there as well. If we look in the bot lane, which is what you said earlier, Ascalobos on that Noon Quiver, Astro just only on those 2 longswords though. Do we see Mike Young still going bot lane, do you think?
I think we do. Mike Young's bot simping a bit of space with burning Shane's flash in top lane. And if they are keeping track of the timers of Nightclaw and Astro, they'll know they're not going to have flash for another 2 minutes at least, which opens you up for at least another gank opportunity.
I will throw one thing out there though, just as a kind of like playing a devil's advocate here. You do that, Shane does have Maiden. Maiden has really has the ability to not only turn fights around, but you also have the mastery that Shane also has on Yorick as well. However, I do think that, alluding to what you mentioned earlier, you do want to put more items onto Ascalobos here. Getting a Jinx really far ahead into a Xayah really doesn't feel well if you are on the Xayah side. The biggest thing you can really throw out there is going to be a Feathers for a potential Roots. Now, while that's not the worst thing in the world, you want to make sure that Styx is not able to fall terribly far behind. Because if they at least go somewhat even going out of lane here, it allows Shane to just be able to farm up and say, you know what, now I can take at least a 1v1. I could take a 2v1 here as well. Caveat to that is HPU is going to say, you know what, if that's going to be the case, we're just going to go full on balls deep into you as we can. We do know the issue. Astro is unfortunately having connectivity issues right now, so we're going to be able to make sure that once she's able to get back into the game without lagging out, we should get the game back started again though. We do see Kayn go for the tier build. Now, what build path do you feel like this Kayn will be going here?
I mean, based on his runes, based on looking like it's going to be a mana immune, I think he's going for just full assassin, kill whoever he can. We are back in the game right now. We are gonna likely have a little stuttering issue unless Riot has fixed that. And Mike Young going back to
what are you talking about?
Riot fixes nothing. But going back to the conversation earlier, I really don't think Mike Young wants to be ganking top lane all that often, since he's going for that shadow assassin. He's gonna be getting a lot of the red orbs.
That's one thing good to keep in mind there as well. Shane is burning TP to get back into lane as well. Once we're able to, now we've got the stutter out of the way there. Shane is going to be able to just want to keep moving forward here. Simply runs into the wall though, takes a massive chunk of damage. Dracana here is in a little bit of trouble. Dentonet has no mana though, and Dracana's moving over to Yeti. Yeti is going to be able to keep Dracana fairly safe. Kamikaze is going to be here as well. Massive damage coming out. Egg has been popped, and I think this egg has been finally scrambled onto Ascalobos' plate. not the person you wanted to give the gold over to. But knowing that Dracana is down now, HPU White may look to potentially start up Drake once they have got this bot lane pushed in. Shane, though, is just continuing to chunk out Simping here. And eventually is going to get to the point where, oh, just misses the cage. Simping's going to have to back off. Not taking first Drake here is very interesting on the part of HPUY, even though I had priority in both mid and most of bot as well.
It is interesting. I mean, it does kind of make sense if you look at Dented Head is really low on mana, low on health, so it fundamentally is just going to be a 3v3 at that dragon. And you're basing it off of how you feel bot lane is. And Ascolobos hasn't spent a lot of his gold, his or her gold. And they're clearing vision around it now, so they're still likely looking for it. Yeti's counter jungling up top, stealing red, and pathing towards Krugs. So
Actually,
trying to recover some of the lost gold in some of these past fights.
well, even though saying that, Yeti is 15 CS up on my god. That's actually huge. As Dented Head is caught up in the ultimate there from Dracana. Simping's going to be in a little bit of trouble here. Shane taking the tower as we've got two fights going on here. Dented Head both flashing forward and back from Dracana there. Dented Head is able to get the kill onto Dracana while Shane is able to get the head on kill onto the Simping as well. They are trading one for one. Yeti also goes down. We got to stop fighting at the same time. I can't track two fights at once here. But good kill on the side for Dented Head as well. This is going to be huge for Veigar. One thing we do also want to throw out is that Shane is also getting pretty darn far ahead on this Yorick. Is potentially going to take a fourth plate here. Simping is up. I would assume, oh, the TP is down. Is not going to be able to get back to lane. Dragon has also been taken on the side of Mike Young as well. Now, there's a lot of fights going on both sides, but one thing we have to keep an eye on is that Dented Head and Ascolobos are the ones that are probably further ahead on gold than the top lane here. But Shane's going to take first tower. Ornhorn coming in, as well as Dented Head is up where here is well. Shane's going to be in a wee bit of trouble. Dented Head has no flasher because of the fight earlier and is not going to be able to kill Shane, who's also out of mana. Simping is just going to force Shane to walk out here, trying to make sure he doesn't take first tower. But I would assume after his next back here, he's going to have a fair amount of items in his pocket and is going to be able to push forward.
Yeah, it's going to have a lot of gold. Dracana barely dodging a cage that I don't even know if he saw coming. But Dented Head, yeah, you're just really thinking, is the lead you're getting in top lane enough to counteract this 2-0 Jinx up 10 CS, this 101 Veigar who's up almost 20 CS at this point?
I think it goes back to what we said earlier, where can the team buy enough time for Shane to be able to just push on this Yorick? Divine Cinder has come in versus the pieces that Simpin has, but if we look at bot lane gold-wise, Ascolobos does have the cloak as well, which gives him a little bit more crit chance. Still technically ahead by at least about 600-700 gold on the side of white. So it comes down to basically balance here. The mid lane is, oh, never mind. Dracana didn't get the wall off quite well. Dented Head is trying to sidestep as best as he can. If ultimate coming in from the Veigar as well is now out of mana, so doesn't really offer much more in that sense. Yeti was also close by to be able to protect Dracana if it was needed. Now Shane's got a humongo wave up here, even though Mike Young is still got an eye up to potentially look forward to go in. Ascolobos is moving forward upon. Oh, never mind. Ascolobos does go in here, along with Kamikaze. Kamikaze does tank up a tower. Astra able to sit back a little bit. We are going to see Mike Young is still hovering around that top side and wants to really make sure that Shane fully commits, which I would assume is going to happen because this top tower is pretty darn low. Shane does sense something. He's like, sniffs a wee bit of danger, saying, I don't think I'm on my own up here. Yeah. Overall, though, this is something that you want on the side of Simping because you don't want to lose this tower here. If you lose this tower here, your lane becomes significantly more difficult. Shane, I think, will attempt to go for it, though, prior to the 14-minute mark coming up.
Yeah, I think Shane's going to try and pressure this top tower. DZG going to be able to take this Herald into either mid or bot, try and get some extra gold onto some of these starving carries that are going to be playing in that 3 or 4 stack. You have a fight in mid
that for dash, Mags, we got Yeti here going and gets the stun down onto Dented Head. It's not going to be long for the world right here as Shane takes top tower here. Kill goes over to Dracana, which was much needed here, as well as Ascolobos taking down a Nightclaw. We got another fight going top lane. Shane is going on to Sipping here as well. Ultimate coming in from the Orn. Won't even get the chance to cast it going out. Shane is dominating this top side right now. but Ascolobos on this Jinx is also 3-0, has a fully stacked Kraken Slayer. This is really just a seesaw at this point. Who is going to be able to stack more gold into the carries? It is going to be Ascolobos versus Shane at this point. Mid tower also going down for DZG Styx, which allows Dracana to kind of set him free there and say, hey, you know, I've got a longer lane to play him. Dented Head being a Veigar, this is not great for you as we see Shane really trying to take the second tower. He might actually get this. Nope, TP coming in from Simping here, but still, he may just commit to it.
I think minions kill that tower despite the TP.
Wow, you called
That's
it right
three
there.
towers before 14 minutes, and one of them being an inner tower. That's a lot of gold put into Styx's pocket, despite playing into a 3-0 Jinx.
I think the one thing you mentioned is that, you know, we said that Dented Head and Ascolobos were the ones who had the heavy gold lead compared to Shane on Styx. Now you have to think that now Dracana has the Leandries completed here. The gold is probably more or less evened out here. Production, if we're able to get an eye on how much gold each team on each player has, we'll be able to give you a better idea as to how much anyone is potentially sitting on. But Ascolobos, this is going to be a lot on the Jinx to say, hey, can you really carry it through? If we look on the bot side, Astro is about 1,700 gold behind Ascolobos. Mid lane wise, it's about even. Top lane is there's a bit of a gap there, as well as the
Jungle
jungle
is
as
a little
well.
surprising, though.
Yeah, go ahead. Why would you think it's a little surprising in that sense?
Well, it's just surprising by the sheer fact that Yeti doesn't have necessarily a surprising or a
Speaking of
seriously
Yeti,
interesting.
there's a fight going on. Mike Young is also going in as well. Kamikaze does get the 2 knock up there. Mike Young is not able to kill Yeti just yet. Dracana does end up going down. Not able to stay quite alive though. Shane is here though. And this is where the fight really starts to kick off. Denton is not able to chase Nightclaw out so quick. Shane is going to be chasing Denton here as well. Simpid is also here. I don't know whether the Honor is really going to be able to offer much here. The ultimate goes into Nightclaw, who lives with just about less than 1 HP. Shane gets the kill onto Denton Head. Kamikaze has to sit back and just clear vision here. This is Yorick Snowball. It's kind of happening because it was a massive shame. Dented Head was probably maybe 2 HP off from killing Nightclaw, who actually shielded. I would assume the shield came up just after the ultimate coming out from Dented Head. This dragon is going to be a free Drake though over to DZG. That just escalated 2k gold plus onto Styx though.
Yeah, I mean, great re-engage with once they get Shane and Astro into that fight onto Dented Head after already losing Dracana to the fight in the corridor. And that's one thing we haven't really mentioned is that if they do go for these big team fights, Styx really wants to be avoiding these corridors with the Rakan, the Ornn, the Veigar. Even though they have some AoE on their own, they don't have enough to match the amount that HPU has.
Kamikaze actually got a really good 2-man knock up there as well. That's where I thought the fight was kind of going to be over because there was a 3v2 fight at that point. Now, while one ended up going down on that side, I believe it was Dracana who ended up going down. It still created enough time for Shane to come in. Kamikaze going in, does release the ultimate there, getting onto Dracana. Dracana's now rooted. Ascolobos just gets the free kill onto Dracana here, though. This Jinx is really trying to say, hey, this game is on my back now. Astro is still trying to hold down top lane here against Dented Head. That's probably going to stay a little bit more even. We do see the bot lane of HP White kind of circling up here, though. Nightclaw takes a wee bit of damage from Mike Young. I would assume they want to go for second Herald here, which is what it's looked like. Second Herald, as you all know, is kind of not as effective or as valuable gold-wise compared to First Herald. But it's like what you said at the beginning of the game. It is going to be the Yorick versus the Jinx here. Like, who can take over the game a lot quicker? Shane is not taking any damage from these towers. And I really feel sorry for Simbi because as an Ornn, it's so difficult to do anything about this here, especially when you fall behind. Once we hit to that 22-minute mark where Shane is probably going to have a second item on this Ornn stacked up and is going to get more gold from this tower going in, you have to really think if you're on the side of HPU, like, we have to try and end this game quick because we don't know how much longer we'll be able to hold off the Yorick here. Mid lane does go down. Ascolobos and Kamikaze did take that, which is good. That was a lot of damage. Mike Young here is also trying to go in. Astro gets tied, but Dented Head is about to go down. Yes, it does. The 2 tower shots here. We may see Simping go down as well, which is not quite going to happen. It almost looks like HP White is being stretched thin here. While the dive up top was solid, Astro's route was really critical in making sure it was able to get a trade onto Dented Head.
Yeah, and Shane building towards the hull breaker, really emphasizing that his split push role on the team. He actually full buys it after that bot tower falls. And it's not even 22 minutes, and he's already at 2 items and triple long swords.
I wonder what he's gonna go for next. That's a lot of long swords to build into something, though. But if we look at the gold on both sides, like the gold is kind of shrunk a little bit. On the side of Styx, they were up about 3.5k gold about 2 minutes ago when they ended up taking that Infernal Drake. Has started to close up a wee bit now. We're about 1700 in. My thought behind that is that Ascalobus is now straight up on 2 items now. This Jinx is online. Ascalobus is going to her, and if you're on the side of Styx, you just want to kite back and stay away from this Jinx for as long as possible and allow Shane to just sit in a side lane. At this point, I don't really think you want to be taking much on the team fight basis because by the time it takes Shane to be able to potentially come in and team fight, it probably wouldn't be a good fit. But there is a huge shutdown goal also on Ascalobus as well. As we have a look here, Ascalobus is down near 2.5, 3k up on gold compared to Astro. Astro is not having a great time, but has had a couple clutch roots, which has been able to keep her somewhat effective in this game. We do see Dented Head kind of moving mid, though. Dracana is going to be caught in the cage. Kamikaze gets stunned before he's able to go in. Egg is popped up onto the Dracana right there. Ascalobus is free-firing, flashes forward. Nightclaw does go down. Astro's about to die here as well. Ascalobus is really taking over this game, though. And now you have to think this is potentially, I would say, a free Baron coming up, but there's a minute left. Yeti is not going to be long for this world. Does die to Mike Young there. This should be at least 2 free towers down, potentially even an inhibitor tower going down. Oh, we're going to see at least that. I would assume maybe even lose an inhibitor here on the side of Styx. That was a massive team fight, though. Kamikaze going in real hard along with Mike Young to allow Ascalobus to free fire.
That was a really big team fight for HPU White, and Styx was kind of stepping up, trying to position without Shane applying any pressure. They really don't match. Shane wins the 1v1, but they do not win the 4v4 in the mid lane or anywhere else on away from Shane. Shane had nowhere to TP to, no pressure anywhere else, and Styx needs to just respect and understand that their win con is Shane. They need Shane to pull 2, 3 people before they can consider stepping anywhere near any of these objectives.
And that's kind of swung, that one fight alone swung a 1700 gold deficit for HPUY into now effectively a 2k gold lead on their side as well. While we did say it's kind of Ascalobus versus Shane, I don't really know if Shane is able to kill Ascalobus because you'll always have Kamikaze close by to be able to keep this Jinx alive. This Jinx is already 2/3 of the way to IE, and we're only 20 minutes into this game. On the other side, Astro is really struggling to get any sort of gold income. Even Dracana, who is currently 1-5 on the Anivia, it's really getting difficult for them to say, you know what, we can hold this 4 or 5 man on the side of HP Whites. At this point, you may just have to sit back and say we can just turtle as best we can and just try and not fight, not engage. You may just have to give gold over to HPY in order to give time for your carry to scale here as well.
Yeah, the big question is how long are you willing to let that go? Because HP White has a pretty good threat at a Baron with the zoning tools and the constant damage of Jinx. 3 people going down for Shane right now.
Shane is kind of going no man's land here. He does have the maiden up as well. Ulti comes through from Kamikaze. He's going to land Ascalobus with the traps down. Shane, you got no chance there, Sunshine. I'm sorry. The gold going over to Dented Head as well, which is actually huge. Simbin here is also caught by Dracana. The stun lands. He's able to get out. The polymorph has been used by Nightclaw as well. This is a bit of a desperate chase here to try and match something up on the other side. We do see the rest of the team kind of coming through to match here as well, though it probably won't be enough. The gold is more importantly handed over to Dracana, which is going to allow this Anivia to scale. However, one thing to mention is that mid lane, they still have 3 people. HP White can still push in, and if they really wanted to, they could take the inhibitor here, but I think they're just going to end up taking as much of the camps as they can, maybe getting some vision around Baron. Mike Young is also fairly nearby as well. Does get spotted out on a control ward. Not a bad 1v1 trade, but ultimately that still goes in the favor of HP White because Shane is just worth a lot more money than Simpin is right now. As they're posturing... Oh, let me see it. Let's see the bang. Give me some spice. all of the top side of DG Styx's jungle is also lit up here as well. So they could potentially look for a bait here. They see Yeti coming forward. Nightclaw does eat a zap there. Dented misses the cage. And Mike Young's like, nah, I'm U-turning this, brother. I'm out of here.
Spicy as it is, DZG got a blue ward in, and I mean, if you're HP White, you do not want to start that Baron. You want to at most bait it, because you have a very clear path to winning this game, and DZG, one of their options back into this is winning a flip. Winning a flip at this Baron is a great way to turn this game back on its head into your favor.
Speaking of turning things around, Shane has got some attention back here. Mike Young is also down bot side. So one thing we've noticed over the last 4 minutes is that Mike Young has kind of been trying to track Shane as to wherever he is on the map to make any fight that happens a potential at least 2v1 encounter, which is great for them because it makes Shane think I can't push too far ahead, while the rest of his team is still pretty darn behind as far as items go. We have 2 items complete for Dented Head, as well as 3 items completed for Ascalobos here on the Jinx. Nightclaw, you have to be careful, mate. You got to walk back. You can't go anywhere near this Jinx. Astro is still on the 1.5 item. Looks like most likely going towards the Essence Reaver as a second item. Dracana still has not finished off the Muramana yet. And we do see HPU walking over to Baron. There is a ward still in the pit for the side of Styx as well, which is no longer there. And as we said again, they just want to be on the side that Shane is on. While Simpin is still able to get to goal. Shane gets jumped upon by Kenikaze, has to flash out to be able to stay alive. That is huge for Shane because now he doesn't have the one bonk potential onto potentially getting onto Ascalobos here. They could just start this Baron free right now, and it looks like they're going to.
Started. What is DZG's response? They're kind of running around. I mean, they're just now pathing back up towards this Baron. By the time they get there, this is going to be long gone.
This Baron's gone. Like, the only person who was there was Shane with Maiden, but the rest of the team was still, I believe, sitting bot side map and mid lane as well. Kenikaze does pop the Shirellas and is going to pop the ultimate as well. Nightclaw does miss with the flashes out as well. Astro really trying to peel as best as he can, but Simpin's also on the bot side with the old ultimate coming in. Dracana is also here as well. Simpin gets a 2-man knock up here, another 2-man knock up. Astro is not long for this world, neither is going to be Dracana, and Dented Head does try to flash forward to get the cage in onto Dracana, not quite working there though. But if you look on the other side of the map, Shane is just saying, you know what, I know where all 5 of you are right now. I'm going to just try and take whatever I can. Simpin is back, and Shane is committed to this push. For all 4 people from HPU White are going to try and catch Shane here with Maiden kind of tailing. Does give them an indication as to where they are. Mike Young, Dented Head, and Kenikaze, who has been on point with these engages so far today, is still tracking him. Kenikaze is still moving forward. Slow gets put on by Mike Young. Knockup coming through onto Shane by Kenikaze. The cage is also going to come through as well. Shane is not long for this world, trying to do what he can, but the kill still goes over to Dented Head. All in all, a 5k now gold lead on the side of HPU Whites.
Yeah, at this point, HPU is just always a one step ahead of Styx. They need to try and just get something proactive. It looks like they have something coming
Yeah, he's
mid.
trying to get in here on Ascalobos. If they get this goal down, this is going to be a huge shutdown, but it's still alive. Ascalobos is still alive. Gets shut down by Astro, more importantly enough. They do trade each other 1-for-1, though. Yeti is still alive. Mike Young is still want to go in. Polymorph comes down from Nightclaw. Dented Head is still pushing forward here. You just literally may be dead for the world. Yeti putting up the Shadow Mist to be able to say, hey, try and come in. I am still somewhere nearby. Kenikaze is caught with a little bit of mana, though, but Dracana is in a 1v3 situation. I don't think he beat Mike Young here, Sunshine. Mike Young's still going in. That was half HP gone there as well. Dracana is now going to turn into egg form. And how do you like your eggs? Fried or fertilized? Mike Young says, nah, I'm going to take this all for myself.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a great pick onto Ascalobos, but HPU just had the response. They were able to get another 2 kills in exchange for it. The 1-for-1 would have been just fine, but Dracana getting caught with his hand in the cookie jar, trying to get more out of that play than they could have in the first place.
A little bit of trading going on. Yeti and Simpin's going back and forth. Nightclaw is here though. Bashes right into Nightclaw's face. Yeti's going to try and get the kill here with the Heartbreaker. Ends up going over to Nightclaw. not the greatest place to go, but it was still nice to get the kill onto the Ornn since there is one less Baron buff on the field. If we look top lane though, Mike Young and Kamikaze are still trying to pressure as much as they can Shane here to try and take this turret. Ascolobos is going to stay here as well. Looks like they want to go back in on Shane. Kamikaze does go in. Ascolobos is eating a ton of damage right now. Shane does get ulted by Mike Young. They end up taking the kill there. This tower's also going to go down. Astro is trying to... Mike Young is caught. Mike Young is caught. A root from Astro could potentially do it. Astro does get knocked up. At this point though, Mega Rex, the Death Rocket that's coming out for Jinx doesn't quite kill anyone there. Yeti does slaying Kamikaze. Slowly losing Baron buffs here. That goes down. That should have been a fairly good kill onto Shane, but Ascolobos was eating so much damage from the ghouls there from Yorick, and now we're seeing you have to commit 3 people at least to be able to kill Shane comfortably here.
You do, and Styx needs... I've been watching the past 10 minutes, and Styx needs to try and get just some form of a proactive play. They've been responding to a lot of what HPU White's doing, which is what's been giving them the ability to always be a step ahead. And Styx has shown that, like, if they do get a play on their terms, they're able to get something out of it, like the pick onto Ascolobos, or that trade kill for Shane on the top lane.
I think that HPU White has kind of figured out that, hey, we're just going to force it. We just want to force the fights coming in, because if we force it, it doesn't allow Styx to be able to respond. Nightclaw coming in though with the gank of all ganks with the Lulu. Oh my god, he eats W there from Veigar. Ends up going down though, that was unfortunate. Dracana does also get stunned up here as well. Then make it a 2-for-1. Mega Death Rocket would have taken it if Denton didn't though. Now you've got the other 3 members of HPU White here coming in. Shane is all on his lonesome. We do see Astro and Yeti trying to get them though. Not quite going to be quick enough. Shane going down. Simpin finally saying, haha, now I'm tired of dying to you. I finally got you now. While they don't have the Baron buff, this is a pretty big wave coming in. Astro is on her lonesome here as well. Is not really going to be able to defend this tower. Dented Head is really huge right now as well. This inhibitor is going to go down. They could potentially look to end the game. So Dracana and Shane are down for at least another 10 seconds, but it looks more like they're going to play this right. They're going to play it slow. We're going to take the second inhibitor and dip out. Soul is on the table for them in 28 seconds, as well as Baron coming up in 51. Yeti is, oh my day, survived by the skin of his own teeth there. Dracana here trying to just keep the wave out and not allow the rest of HPU to try and get any damage here. This is great on the side of HPU. They're saying, you know, we can keep you stuck in your base for as long as you can. Are you going to come and try and check this dragon? You have to step through, let's be honest, a pitch black jungle to be able to get it. They can't even step outside their base without what's seeing them. But this is all going in the favor of HPU White, who's now ballooned the gold lead after this race probably around the 7k mark.
Yeah, it's a really big mountain, and I mean, at this point, Veigar scaled Ornn's becoming a real hassle to try and kill. And we're seeing ornaments start come through with Mike Young and Ascolobos getting their Ornn upgrades. I don't know if Styx has enough game time without a major throw from HPU to get back into this.
I actually agree to that. If Yeti dies here, this Baron is more or less done though, but can it go look at the ultimate together? Heartbreaker is not enough. The kill goes over to Dented Head. Nightclaw has to flash out to not get caught by the cage there from the Veigar. This is going to be a free Baron for the side of HPU White. Shane is not able to do anything because he is on the bot lane. He's coming in, he has to defend this. Astro, Nightclaw, and Dracana are also going to have to defend this mid lane as well here. They're all going to go top side and say, you know, we still got another minute or two of supers pushing in. Let's cause the biggest headache we can for DZG and just try and end this game.
Yeah, Yeti there caught with his camera elsewhere. Kamikaze getting a ward onto Yeti, and Yeti not even moving in response to it before ultimately everything in the kitchen sink gets thrown at him. And HPU looks like they have the entire rest of the house to keep throwing.
Yeah, they've got the kitchen sink here as well, although I don't really think they're going to need it at this point. Asker Lobos just ends up shredding off the team. The Wildcard does come in, they do get the kill that one to get a card play, but Knuckle does play with his Vipers as well. They're getting the kill on the Yeti. Astro is doing whatever she can to try and get the kill onto Asker Lobos, but Asker Lobos is just still free firing. X-Form does come out on the side of Connor here. It is a 5-man ace. Get that Bud Lights out right here. This Jinx has just gone way too powerful, way too quickly. Dented Head was able to then help carry the end of the game as well. Game 1 going over to HPU White.
Yeah, game 1 going over to HPU White, and I mean, we got our answer from the beginning of this game of who is a lot game than Shane was able to get on this Yorick.
Yeah, the goal kind of it got started early, like you said. We did see Mike Young going bot lane to get Askalobos as far ahead as possible. It was consistent 3v2s, while top lane Shane tried to attract the attention to be able to get as much pressure as he could down on to Simping. While it did work early, and at one point they did have a 3k gold lead on the side of Styx, Askalobos, and then just scaled to the point where a late game Jinx and a late game Veigar, who just obviously infinitely scales, you're gonna find a very tough time to be able to kill them. With that though, we are going to jump to a quick break. Don't go anywhere, as we'll be here to watch game 2 of DZG Styx versus HPU White.
It's the calm before the storm. Things aren't as they were before. You best start bracing.
Welcome back to game 2 of HPU White versus DZG Styx. HPU White taking a definitive victory over DZG Styx there. Styx had a bit of a lead in the early to mid game with Shane on the Yorick, but this Jinx on Ascalobos and the Veigar on Dented Head just ran away with it. Sides have been switched though. We see Styx have opted to choose red side here, which would give priority over to white. The same 3 bans do come through for HPU White though. I am curious if we're going to see this Jinx get through. Nope, the Samira gets banned, and I'm assuming this Jinx is going to be a first pick again for Ascalobos. If it ain't broke, we'll fix it.
Yeah, I'm really gonna be interested in seeing what Styx's response is, because I mean, if you're in HPU White position, there may not be much you have to change. You've already kind of proven the point that you can win with the late game scaling, and yet first pick Jinx. Maybe see a salty run back.
I mean, I don't expect it to see. Okay, Nightclaw going with a Nautilus here, and a little bit more forward thinking versus the defensive mindset of a Lulu. It got to the point where a single W from Dented Head dominated 2/3 of Nightclaw's health damage while he was on that Lulu. So maybe something a bit more tanky, gives him a little bit more agency in trying to set up potential fights there as well. I am very curious to see what Astro ends up going here. We are going straight comfort, speaking of Astro. She's going to be locking in that Ezreal.
Yeah, the Nautilus Ezreal bot lane kind of giving you the option for both aggressive and passive plays. I'd be really interested in seeing Nightclaw's ability to roam and try and get Dracana ahead with Astra playing safe in the spot lane.
I do expect to potentially see Nightclaw kind of playing around the map a bit, maybe not saying so much bot lane, since Astra on the Ezreal should be able to stay alive in lane by herself. Mike Young is now saying, hey Yeti, I saw you play Viego, I can show you that I can play it too.
Yeah, and I'm expecting a support pick here for HPU White. Mike Young looking to play another carry jungler that, I mean, he did a really good job on the Kayn, enabling his laners and getting himself ahead at the same time while not absorbing a lot of the resources. And the Braum locked in as a counter to the Nautilus to try and peel for this Jinx.
It's also not just peel that it has, it's also heavy engage as well. You get one of the Braum passive, the concussive blows, off onto anyone. This Jinx has enough attack speed to be able to... Hello! We got some hentai in the house! And now we're being locked in for Shane here. They may have been worried that since the Renekton was banned, they may look to have potentially ban out the Yorick and the Alawi as well. They're saying, no, we're going to take it here and then potentially get rid of any counters that Dracana may not want to play into. This tells me that Shane's going to be looking for more and more of a team fight purpose versus just straight split pushing. As we see more or less the same bans being come through on both sides. The only difference since Alawi is now on been picked for Styx, it does free up a ban here for White. Do they continue to throw this mid lane with 1, 2, 3, 4 champions already banned out for mid lane on both sides? I would assume they want to try and continue to lock out Dracana here.
Yeah, we have a flex. It's a ban to both mid and jungle, but this is gonna be more aimed towards mid. It's locked in versus Viego.
That was an insta lock, as you can call insta lock. That was real quick. They knew what they wanted.
Now, I'll say I'm not personally familiar with the Kha'Zix Viego matchup, but with a lock in that quick, it makes you think that you already know what you wanted and you knew it was gonna get through draft.
Yeah, this is all planned out, I would assume. I do want to say one thing though. I don't want to see Dracana on the Inhibitor.
That's Teemo lock in.
I can't.
Is that real? That
I'm gonna get confirmation of production, but I'm pretty sure that's real.
Yeah. No correction.
Teemo is going to be blinding the hell out of Ilawi. Actually, if you think about it, it's a good pick because the blind that comes through up on Ilawi, all of her attacks are more or less auto attacks, including her W, which is a jump as well, I believe. So it really does lock down Shane in that sense. The Inivian now being picked up by Dented Head. This is 2 of the champions that Styx played last game, where HPU White says, you know what, we saw you play them. We're going to show you how you play them when we try to win with them. I am really looking forward to see what Dracana goes with. Goes with the Ahri, Ari right now, a very, very strong champion, has the mobility that she's going to need to be able to stay close and away from Dented Head. Helps on both sides. Very interesting to see, Max. What do you like? What do you don't like?
I mean, there's a lot of things on here that I just was not expecting. The Kazakhs locked in for Styx. I was expecting the carry junglers, but not necessarily hyper assassin like this. And I mean, I don't know how much scouting I could have done with and saw Teemo being locked in versus Alawi. I mean, as you said, it makes sense. There's a lot of good matchups both ways. I'm not really sure which side I can personally give favorites to.
I think after watching last game, I would have to give the edge to HPU White, being as non-biased as I can right now. And for it's really one big daunting reason. Askalobos has this Jinx back. And you have Mike Young, who is, I would assume, most likely going to go bot lane and try to continue to get Askalobos ahead. Askalobos had a fantastic game on Jinx last game. Mike Young, I believe, didn't even die at all. Dented had only died once or twice in the entire game as well. When I'm looking at both comps, I look at HPUY and I see, it's fairly coordinated team fight that they want to do. You have the passive from the Braum, you have the ultimate from Anivia as well. Jinx should be able to just free fire. If I'm looking at Styx, this is as comfort as I've ever seen the team. It's just straight. We want to pick what is straight comfort for us that we know we can play well and take it to them.
Yeah, and my main concern is after some more thinking, I'm gonna have to side with you on leaning towards HPU White because they have a very clear team identity, whereas Styx is all on comfort, but by being all on comfort, you're sacrificing some of that team identity that no one really shares the exact same thing. You have Wombo combo with Alawi Nautilus, Poke with Ezreal, and you have Assassin and Pick with Ari Kha'Zix. You have a lot of different things you can do, but not everybody's specializing in those things.
I think this is a case of Styx saying, you know what, we bought the kitchen sink this time. We're going to throw that at them and see if we're able to get it. Throwing this up to you, Mags, one last time as we are coming towards the end of the pick and ban phase here. Give me an idea. I know you mentioned HPU White. Why do you like them? Do you think they'll win the game? Give me your reasoning.
So yeah, HP White, I'm gonna have to go with them, and throwing all my biases out the window. You have the Jinx locked in again, and you have a lot of peel for the Jinx in the Anivia Braum. You have other carries to buy time for the Jinx in the Viego, and the Teemo able to hopefully hold off Alawi's push and stop a lot of the auto attack centric champions that are gonna be trying to kill this hyper carry in Jinx, end up blinding the Kazakhs and blinding the Alawi whenever she's going in for her massive flash 5-man ultis.
I do expect Shane to join team fights a lot more often because it is an Alawi. I don't think, as much as Alawi wants to have numbers disadvantage, hence the reason why it helps her out a lot more. She wants to be fighting against 2-3 of the opponent with less people on her side. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that's great, but will it end up the same as last game where HPUI can say, you know what, you want to stay in a lane by yourself? That's fine. We're going to force ourselves upon the other four that you are showing us right now. Will HPU White make this a 2-0 sweep, or is DZG Styx able to pull out a win going straight comfort? We'll be back in a few minutes to find out. Welcome back, everyone, to game 2 of HPU White versus DZG Styx. I am Morpheus. Mags here, still putting up with me for some bizarre reason. We are in the Metashift Xenon League right now, and we do see HPU White kind of stacking this bot side jungle here, whereas you have almost a 5-point on the side of DZG. Askalobos to take the exhaust this time, though, as Astro...
3 mana plus stacks.
Let's go. 6 stacks, baby.
3
Let's
mana
go.
plus. That's 50 mana and 6 mana on the. 25 mana and 6 mana on the tier. Let's go.
There you go. One thing I do want to throw out is Astro did take Conqueror this game. So that tells me potential Triforce build inbound, which allows it to have more potency with auto attacks versus going the PTA route, which will say I would rather just try and poke from a different sense if I can. I'm really excited to see what Yeti does on this Kha'Zix, as much as I don't like Teemo, I want to see what Simba can do on this Teemo here as well.
I am really interested in seeing what Simba's gonna do on Teemo. Yeti's gonna be late to this leash actually, so gonna hinder his clear time.
Yeah, this
and
is very awkward.
What I was gonna end up saying is, one interesting thing is for HPU White, double combat summoners in the exhaust and the ignite in the bot lane, trying to maybe even get that 2v2 kill with the extended range of Jinx and the Braum passive.
Braum passive is actually really deadly here because caught onto Nightclaw, if this hook is down, you have no way of getting it. Askalobos will just proc that really, really quick. We'll have lethal tempos stacking up there as well. So let's keep an eye on the junglers here. We have Yeti, who started bot side, started very late, is now doing Grok, whereas we have Mike Young, hold the phone, Mike Young is also doing a full clear bot side. We'll be keeping an eye on the mid lane here as well, because we expect Rakana to be pushing in Dented Head fairly early on in this game, as you saw last game, and maybe it's kind of difficult to push in. To push out with pre-6. Shane missing a Grot on BE there as well. I expect this bot lane, they just want to keep this as boring as possible.
Yeah, this bot lane wants to keep it as boring as possible. Yeti actually skipping his wolves to try and catch up and clear because he probably thinks he's a bit behind. But with our all-seeing knowledge, he's actually looking to counter jungle.
To get this crab early. He might be trying to get crab early. No, he's going into jungle. They don't have prio on mid or top just yet, though Dracana will be the first potentially on the move if needed. Mike Young is going to see Yeti right now. They're going to fight over this blue buff. Blue buff does go over to Yeti, though. Fight coming out. Isolation damage will be in favor of Yeti on this Kha'Zix, so Mike Young is slowly burning away. Simping is going to be here on this Teemo as well. Will be the first to rotate. If I'm Yeti, I just dip, bro. Like, you got your blue buff. Get out of there. Great steal on the side of Yeti on this Kha'Zix.
Yeah, and that's one thing Yeti has shown multiple times in the last game and just now in this game. He is not afraid to go into the enemy jungle and take what he sees as his. He sees that enemy buff is up and he says that he's going to get it. Whether or not there's a Viego standing right next to it, he'll still secure it.
Yeah, I think we saw that in game 1 as well, like you mentioned. Like Yeti was, while Mike Young was one who said, hey, I just want to just gank. Yeti said, no, just give me all your gold, which kind of forced Mike Young to say, you know what, I don't have anything to take right now because Yeti's coming and nicked everything. I should just say, you know what, can I get a gank off somewhere else? Top lane though, even though Simping is kind of did get the counter pick on to Shane, is one whole wave down, sorry. Mid lane Dented is slowly being pushed in by Dracana. Misses the stun there. Unbreakable will does go up on the side of Kamikaze. I do think this game again is going to be decided by both Yeti and Kamikaze. Kamikaze last game was amazing on this Rakana.
He was really good, and I want to see how...
Charm down, Styx. Hunter's going to charm down onto Dented Head. The egg has been done. Max, how you like your eggs? I don't think you're going to have your nigga just yet, buddy. Dented Head still stays alive. Dracana is still alive right now. Ignite does come down. Also, the barrier for Dented Head as well. I don't think they're going to end up killing Dented Head here, though. Dracana just didn't have the mana nor the damage to be able to kill out of this Anivia. Top lane, 15 CS down on the side of Simping. Dented Head has got pots going. Not a lot of mana though. Dracana doesn't have Ignite either. Yeti is here though. No egg. First blood goes over to Yeti. Kenikaze is stepping forward upon Nightclaw here though. We did say this earlier. Nightclaw is not going to be able to pull out of this. They're going to get this kill over.
Chain.
Nightclaw. Listen, my young, sorry.
That's such a good chain CC from HPU. The Braum passive into the Chompers, into the Viego stun. Nightclaw didn't even have a chance to flash hook out of there, even if he wanted to.
Kenikaze was standing in front of him the entire time. Like, and even though Nightclaw had flash, Kenikaze could have just done the same thing as well. So it was. Maybe you would think to potentially burn that flash if you're on Nightclaw. The kill did go over to Mike Young. You never want to see Viego get ahead early, but Yeti also has the kill as well, putting Dented head far behind as possible. Dracana does have a 10 CS lead. Top lane Shane has a 15 CS. Mike Young does have a couple camps to go through, but it's like what you said earlier. Look where Yeti is, still in the jungle of Mike Young. Mike Young is about to see that your jungle is slowly going missing, bro. While this wave heavily stacks in up against Astro and Nightclaw.
Styx gets spotted out. Is gonna get away, trying to steal away the Gromp. I mean, takes away another camp, and Yeti has his entire, like, all his small camps up. His blue is about to spawn, and he hasn't even touched his second respawn of his jungle yet. So even though he's down in physical CS numbers, he has so much potential.
Oh no, Dented does get that's a ton of damage on Dracana. Yo, flap your wings, bro. Let me see some KFC tonight. Shane here just pushing in, simping as well. I do fully agree with you. Like, Yeti's gonna have a lot of jungle kits to go up. Ping's coming down for the bot side of Yeti, bot side of Yeti's jungle as well. I think a lot of this is gonna end up on Yeti. Like, this is a Kha'Zix is saying, hey, I am here to carry. As Shane misses the Spirit Refuge upon... That's a Shen ability there. Does nail upon the Teemo. There's a lot of damage coming in as well. I love this.
So, Mike Young getting spotted out on this blue buff. You have a 3v3 right now.
Going in is Nightclaw, gets the stun there, also gets return stun by Kenikaze here. Dracana is also going in as well. Kenikaze is still alive somehow. Dracana's not able to get the kill, but you have Yeti here trying to push forward. The stun does come up from Ascalobos. Gets the first kill. Ascalobos still going forward. He's going to get the kill off, the double kill upon to this Jinx as well. Astro is trying to have to get away. Stun coming in. Is going to get the third. You get 3 kills. Oh, sorry, 2 kills over to this Jinx. Nightclaw is just about to die. They're going to see. Hey, ultimate comes in from Jinx. Gets 3 kills. Upon Ascalobos, we saw this last game. When this Jinx gets ahead, Ascalobos is just going to end up running this whole team with it. As they start up Drake right now as well.
I mean, you got to give credit to HPU. They knew that DZG was going to likely try and respond to this. Re-counter, whatever, invade. And they were able to respond and have the backup there, and Ascalobos was getting 3 kills.
Oh no!
Actually, I'm pretty sure entirely unanswered.
Oh, Astro was potentially looking at lunch there. Nightclaw does see Mike Young walking away. They probably know that Kenikaze is nearby as well. Astro's fallen down about a heavy amount of CS compared to Ascalobos. It's going to be the same as last game. Can you shut down this Jinx? This Jinx is 3-0-2. I do want to throw something out there. Kenikaze has played brilliantly so far. Yeti does going in, flash coming in from Simbing to be able to make sure that he doesn't die there. But back to my point, this Kenikaze played brilliantly last game and this game. Not only in the setup, but also defensively as well. Trying to get the charm onto Dented Head. Dented Head is walking forward here. Gets the ultimate down as well. Dracana does take a humongo piece as the Zig Smiley comes out. From Dented Head is always like, yeah, I know, that's okay. You can poke me as much as you like, Sunshine. Dracana having to back off here, though. If you look at the bot lane, Ascalobos has got Noon Quiver, Pickaxe, and T2 boost as well. This man's got Air Forces, and he's running hard. He's just going to continue to run out the team, though. Yeti is shadowing mid lane, though. Mega Death Rocket does go wide on the side of Ascalobos here. There's stun coming in, does hit Yeti. Dented Head does still have the egg. Kenikaze is here as well. Yo, stand behind Braum, mate. Literally the definition. Keeping Dented Head alive.
Yeah, HPU getting really good use out of this Braum pick. A lot of the passives leading towards arguably 2 of the 3 kills that Lobos got. in the bot lane were because of Braum passive, and now you stop the Anivia from dying in the mid lane.
You're just also in between two ways. Yeti and Dracana can't move forward because of the passive from Braum. You get a slot. Dracana got caught though, does get one popped hard by Dented Head. Dented Head was still eating another turret shot there, but they end up getting the kill down upon the mid lane. The Yeti is here though. Is may want to try and get a kill upon the Dented Head. Braum says, stand behind me, my brother. I shall protect your wings. Doesn't quite work though. It ends up being a 1-for-1 kill. Kenakaze getting the kill down upon Yeti as well. That to me looked like a play where if Yeti doesn't commit to that and get that kill, then they're more or less just going to be rolling over and saying this game is done. A kill going onto the Braum though, as Ascolobos is continuing to not be afraid to walk forward 1v2 here against Nightclaw and Astro.
Yeah, and I mean this Teemo, I mean it feels like it's doing what you wanted to do. You're only down 30 CS at this point. If I'm no wait, my math's wrong.
Oh, hold on, Nightclaw's in trouble here. They're making everyone to come out. Ascolobos does get the ulti up, but the ulti comes up from Nightclaw as well. Astro's going to be low trouble. Stun coming up from Kenakaze as well. Getting another kill down to Ascolobos. This Jinx is just running free with this game. Unfortunately, Nightclaw tries to get some vision into that, but it doesn't quite work. Dracana does get caught up by Dented Head as well. The charm lands for Dented Head, upon Dented Head. Dracana is still moving through the ultimate, flashes out to get her out of the enemy ultimate as well. We do see fight going up something like Young versus Teemo. Doesn't quite work either. Yeti was somewhat hovering, didn't quite work. The blind is huge from that Teemo, and like you said, even though Simpin is down 40, just shy of 40 CS, it is doing its job, and it is just keeping Shane locked in a lane where he's not able to get out and do anything.
Yeah, and oh, we're about to get a trade. Okay.
Okay, I totally missed that one, but Yeti just went in and just one-tapped Simpin and said, I've had enough of you, rat. You die now. Go ahead.
But I mean, Styx, a little bit of a shining light in this, what may even feel like an abyss that they're falling into. 3 people on HPU all having bounties, one being the support, all having gold bounties if you're able to kill them. A 4-0 Jinx you're facing into. This just feels like a repeat of last game, and you just have to be hoping at this point, have they learned what the response is at this point?
You know when you said that they're falling into the abyss, I'm gonna throw a dad joke out there. Since there is a Viego, do you think they're falling into the shadow realm? Haha. No, Yu-Gi-Oh! Activating my card. No? Okay, just me. Hey. As we see Mike Young and Denton Head take away blue buff over full Anivia here. Like Claw and Astro, you're going to want to walk away because I don't think you can even step anywhere near to your jungle. I do think that Denton Head is going to say, you know what, give me some of that bounty as well. I want that nice 3 number above my head. Dracana is trying to take another plate here mid. Once Anivia hits 6, it's so difficult to really do anything. Ascolobos is just going to free fire upon Nightclaw. Having that Kraken already completed, it makes it so difficult as a Nautilus to even step forward here. Kenakaze jumps forward and says, stand behind me some more, brother. Oh,
Dice at the top.
We got dive going. They want to kill Simpin. Get rid of that rat. The rat's off the rim. Thank goodness for that. At least DZG is able to trade on the other side of the map. Tower does go down in favor of HPU White, though they are looking to press a second tier turret here. Kenakaze and Ascolobos waiting for Nightclaw, who doesn't have to end up flashing out to get out of the chompers. Mike Young and Jensen are going to try and push this mid lane in as well, though. You do see Yeti and Shane upon top lane. They're just saying, you know what, we just have to trade something as best we can here. Yeti's trying to take, again, counter jungling the top side. Mid lane is still up, but Ascolobos is going to get even more potentially in their back pocket. I will say one thing, as great as Ascolobos has been, Kenakaze for me has been player of the game. This guy's set up everything, both offensively and defensively, keeping Ascolobos alive at all times.
Yeah, and really playing the role of support very well, keeping Ascolobos Horizon alive and enabling whatever this Jinx wants to end up doing. And for Styx, that play top lane did you some good, but HPU just kind of said, all right, we'll match it and just mirror what you're doing. You steal our blue side, we steal your blue side. You take bot lane, we take top lane. Or you take top lane, we take bot lane. And ultimately,
It's kind of eating a ton of damage here, though. Shane also, forgive me for cutting you off, Mags. Shane had to just jump in and say, hey, bud, you can't pick my foxtail off like that. It doesn't quite work. I'll hit you with my hentai. Yeti, though, is not afraid to jump in. Dented head may seem in a bit of trouble here. Has the passive up. They want to give the ball over to
Now they're on
Yeti.
the menu.
There you go. I want some pride ones today. Shane walking into a Braum, which is never a place you really want to be. Concussive Boast does end up stacking. Kamikaze, my G has no fear as Nightclaw ends up hooking a minion. I think if that would have hit, they would have probably ended up all-ing in it. But Shane said, you know what? This mid tower is now mine. Now that they see Astrolobo's top, you can't have Shane in the same window there. Shane, though, does end up finding Kamikaze and Mike Gunner. The ultimate does come through from the Alawi, getting humongous damage now. Gets the double kill onto this Alawi. Now they can say, you know what, we can make something happen there.
Oh, something got mine!
The kill does go down for Yeti as well. It's exactly what you want the gold on this team.
That's exactly where you want the gold. 800 gold sent to this Kazik. 2 kills going out of this Alawi. The one thing I'm gonna say, and I was gonna say this before all this transpired, is Shane's going for that hole breaker. You really need to be going for the team fights with this Alawi, because you saw what happened last game. This Jinx will just run through the 4 of you. The other 4 people, it doesn't matter how much pressure you can apply with your hole breaker, you're needed elsewhere.
And that, you're completely right. HPU White showed that last game where when they see Shane in a lane by himself, but they see 3 or 4 others of Styx in the lane, they're just going to say, you know what, you can sit in a side lane all you want, Sunshine. We're going to force you to fight us. And right now, even though there is only a 1k gold disparity between Styx and White, you have to think, where is a lot of this gold right now? Ascolobos is at 2 items at 17 minutes. Had this PT completed about a minute or so ago. Whereas you look at Styx, the gold is all on Yeti right now. If you compare the two, I said thank you production, you got a 3k gap on Shane, which is great. But bot lane is about 3k there, so that about evens out. As we got Dracana trying to fight Kamikaze here, mid lane is about even. Hell, even support's got 1,000, Kamikaze's got 1,000 gold up on Nightclaw. That's kind of where the disparity is. It is, as we said last game, it is Jinx versus Ilawi. Same thing over here. Dracana does land the charm. Nightclaw, if I was you, Sunshine, I would just fly. Oh, goodness. I would have. Then again, I'm not in this level. Don't listen to me.
I'm gonna be interested in seeing how Shane does end up utilizing this hole breaker, because you do have gold onto the Kazakhs, who can be in the 4v4 or 4v5. That's really your only option to kill this Jinx, where the vast majority of HPU White's gold is at. And DZG has per setup on this dragon. Basically, all of HPU's red side is warded.
You're completely right. I don't know why they're not just focusing on teamfight. Like what's happening right now. Simpin's in trouble, man. Astro's the first one to go in, though. Simpin having to flash away. Shane is the one who ends up getting the kill there. Michael might want to go. Great turnaround by Nightclaw as a disengaged tool. The Unbreakable does come up for the side of Kamikaze. Ever fight that anyone yet. Stacks 2 coming up. Ascolobos is just free firing. Nightclaw does pop the spot push. Shane is not dead yet. Yeti does go to the back and try and kill Ascolobos. Is not quite dead yet, but Yeti does go down. Ascolobos is free firing upon Shane now as well. This should be just a straight one try.
Is that gonna be a penta?
You're gonna get that penta kill? No.
Ari. Ari's too busted.
I know,
Team on me, I should take it.
You know what, they may just get a free drag here, but I was hoping Ascolobos would keep going, but you know what, Kamikaze is like, it smells blood. Where are you? You pulled your last hell, fella. Okay, but after that fight, that was huge. Even though there's only, what, a 2k lead now, that was a very tight team fight. But notice one thing, Kamikaze kept Ascolobos alive the entire time, giving Jinx a quadra kill. Ascolobos is now, even though there's only it's a 2k gold disparity between both teams, this Jinx is off to the races. Like, this game is going to be very, very difficult for them to win. Nightclaw had a great idea with the turnaround, but wasn't able to really commit to anything. Nightclaw here did get tagged. Ascolobos is there as well. There's Shane missing with the E. Ascolobos does land it upon Ascolobos, but Ascolobos still on HP. Does go down to Shane. That was huge. Kamikaze here may be able to die for the first time this entire series. Does jump towards Mike Young. Dented Head is here though, coming in from behind. Does stun Michael, and the kill ends up going down to Shane. Egg has been popped. Hey, Mag, how you like your eggs? I think I want it on DZG's plate right here. Astro getting the kill there as well. Not much to take after that, potentially aside from bot tower, but DZG still showing some fight. This gold lead has now shrunk to about 500-600.
These are showing some signs of life. They need to kind of clean up these 5v5 fights, and they need to synchronize getting onto this Jinx, because when you have one person at a time jumping in, it's really easy for this Braum to help peel and keep her alive. But when you have an Ahri, a Kha'Zix, and a Lowy, there's only so much a single support can do. And, I mean, HPU caught trying to push the lead just a little too far, a little too fast. They're able to get some counter kills. Oh my gosh. That is a little demoralizing, but we can go ahead and move on past it.
That was kind of funny, not gonna lie. Just something to help continue to put effort back into DZG's side. As we see, the gold is now more or less even. I do want to throw out something that you said earlier when you said we didn't like the whole breakup on Shane here, and I fully agree with you. I think that Shane has shown in the last 2 fights that have happened, this Alawi has the chance to be able to turn fights around. Hullbreaker doesn't allow you to do that because, well, you're not by yourself. Nightclaw walking into Kamikaze here. Ascalova is just weighing and praying. Nightclaw is not long for the world. You're about to die here, Sunshine. Mega Death Rocket is not even needed. Yeti does get stunned, but ends up jumping out though. Astro trying to cause as much pain as possible. Red buff most likely does end up going down for Mike Young. Dracana stepping forward though, just barely misses with the charm. And DZG says, you know what? Maybe we can just get out of this right now. Shane is, you don't want to be here, Sunshine, even though you do have Hullbreaker. Does get the Spirit onto the Jinx. I don't think he's going to stay terribly alive for much longer though. Ascalobus does end up getting the kill there. This Jinx has got 10 kills and we're only at 20, we're only at 22 minutes here. Dented Head just needs to buy time and just build space while Ascalobus just ends up free firing.
I mean, this is a pretty solid Baron angle for HPU if they want to take it. You have a... Yeah, they're doing it right now, and I mean, what response does DZG have? Bro doesn't have ult, so you can't go on the Miracle Steel. And it's... You have vision control.
Eddie's here. Dented Head is not going to be able to make this happen. Kill goes over to Mike Young though. Yeti is just got chopped the hell out. That was fielded by Ascalobus. Astro now also having to get out as well. Michael going in to say, you know what, I will try my best to save my AD carry this time around. Astro does have to just head for the hills though in that sense. While all that's going on, Dented Head is pushing in the mid wave though. This could potentially be at least 2 turrets going down. Shane just has to sit in this tower and hope for the best. While he does have a fair amount of health and armor, it's a Jinx at 3 items at 22 minutes. Like, this is huge. This Teemo hasn't really done much, if we're being quite honest. It's sitting there. As we see Dracana coming forward, the charm does land upon Kamikaze here. Kamikaze still falling out pretty good. Dracana just going in though for some reason and does end up getting stunned. Ends up getting the kill over to Ascalobo. Shane is about to die here. Ascalobo gets 2, gets 3. This should be the end of the game over to HPU White.
Why can't be in the game unless Yeti can pull out some kind of miracle?
Let me see that solo queue miracle right there, Yeti. Oh.
But I mean, if this isn't the game, there's one thing I really want to see DZG try and do. Okay, you do catch the Teemo, but what do you get out of it?
Not much here. Yeti is about to go in. Does probably won't get the kill upon the Teemo here because of the blind. Nightfall is also just sitting here as well. Mike Young is like, you know what, I guess I'm needed. I guess I'll come through. Yeti does end up going in though, is about to die here. Simpin, I take it all back, and finally got a kill to his name this game. Ends up getting the kill upon to Yeti there. That was a huge gold shutdown, I believe, as well, onto Simpin. At this point, within 2 minutes, 2.5, 3 minutes ago, this game was even on gold. It's now ballooned to 10k, 8k in the space of 2 minutes.
And HPU is getting sold right now. From the early dragon stacking, which we didn't really mention, they're at soul at 24 minutes. A fast soul's considered 25, and they're an entire minute ahead of that.
Along with the inhibitor being down as well, like, you're completely right in that sense. Like, what does DZG do here?
I'm not sure what DZG does. And I will say this, one thing that has been a pattern in this game specifically, and even a bit in last game, they really feel out of sync. They are going in without the understanding of other people going in. So you have Nightclaw hooking in, and then 2 seconds later you have Astro Eing in. And by the time Astro goes in, Nightclaw's already dead. You need, there's no real succinct plays being made. It's kind of just a 5-stack solo queue game versus the HPU white team. So even if DZG what looks like white
Some of the time it's gonna cause it here. Wheels coming out. Nightcraw's trying to run into the middle here, and they're gonna end up dying here too. Shane has been caught out. Megadeth Rocket does come out. Is about to kill Shane. No, it's still a bad anything there. But with Yeti walking out as well, Japana is still at 1 HP. Mike Young is like, no, you know what? I'll have some of this myself. If I'm Mike Young, I'm gonna say, you know, can I get another kill here for myself? Things better otherwise. Tries to preserve that KDA with the only one death this game, and I think that may be all she wrote unless Astro and Yeti and Shane can hold a miracle defense here as well. Protective blow does land upon Astro. Ascalobus is still moving forward. One more also is there. Ascalobus does go down, kind of into the bit hard there, but Yeti ends up getting the kill there as the collision goes down. Simply one with the final shot there. Shane is going to try and do what he can, but doesn't end up getting a one-to-one trade upon simping. Yeti goes down to Kamikaze. Nightclaw and Astro are still up. This is still fairly tense at this point though. Even though minions are both there, Nightclaw does go forward with the hook of the Kamikaze. The Forgotten Blows will stack though. Nightclaw's about to die right there with the kill going over to Mike Young. Japana ends up landing the chart upon Kamikaze as well. Finally this man goes down. Mike Young is still alive, but with the also coming through right there. Astro trying to do whatever she can to hold the base here. Mike Young and Denton can potentially end this game. They have 12 seconds until Shane is up, 11 until Yeti as well. They do have minions coming in. They may look to try and finish in this game. Another minion joining in bot wave. Super minions will be joining through mid lane shortly, and this game is just about done. They can't step forward into Denton's head for Mike Young, with the series going 2-0 over to HPU.
Yeah, and I mean, as I was talking about before that entire last fight broke out, is it really just felt like DZG was never on the same page until it was too late. They only ever got to the point of understanding halfway into fights, and by the time those were over, 2 people have already died, and you have a excited Jinx running rampant through your fight. That got her the 3 kills on the early in the early game invade from HP White, and it just kept snowballing past that. And yes, you got a couple picks after that, but the root of the problem hadn't been solved.
Yeah, I think it came down to it with game 2. I'm going to throw this out onto draft in particular, because HPU White's draft, with the exception of the Teemo, and I still refuse to acknowledge that, because while Teemo's great into Alawi, it didn't really offer the rest of their team much. Team comp was fantastic. Again, you had the Ascalobus being kept alive by Kamikaze, with Abrom who's able to do so. Mike Young on a playmaking champion, and then Dented Head on another scaling mid laner. It's exactly the same thing as last game. Whereas on DZG, unfortunately, it's the case where it just looked like straight comfort. And while there were glimpses, and particularly of Yeti, I would call that out there. Yeti was the one who was trying to able to keep DZG in this game. It just didn't work for them. The comp was all over the place, and unfortunately, it's what spelled the demise over there upon DZG. But what you did say earlier is still true, though. Nightclaw and Yeti are new back to the team. This is just week 1 of them being together again. So we want to give them time to say, hey, can they build up any sort of cohesiveness moving forward in the split? And with that being said, I think we're going to call it a night there. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Magfries has been on color. I am Morpheus on the play-by-play with Alyssa on production. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Hope you will have a lovely Sunday evening, and we'll talk to you all next week.
I want you to come